Hello, and welcome to the Indoor Soccer Captain's Info presentation. This presentation is for Spring 2020 with UTA Intramural Sports. In this presentation, we'll cover our policies, where we play, the rules of the game, our scheduling software, IAMLeagues, and the league schedule, awards for our champions, upcoming events, and how to contact us. The Intramural Sports staff is comprised of the Assistant Director, Travis Langford, as well as student program assistants, student supervisors, and student officials. If you need to get in contact with us, please email us at iamsports@uta.edu. Our website is uta.edu/intramuralsports. You can find links to our rules, handbook, policies and procedures, as well as other events that are going on at campus recreation. IAMLeagues is our scheduling software that we'll talk about. The rules in the handbook can also be found on IAMLeagues. Eligibility to play intramural sports is available to current UTA students, faculty and staff that have a MAC membership, and campus recreation membership holders. All of these are allowed to participate in intramural sports activities. Alumni must have a membership to play. All players are required to check in with the ID checker before the game. If you don't have your ID, you cannot play that night. 2 campus recreation membership holders are allowed on a team, maximum. The MAC members must show proof of membership to play. Players are not allowed to play on 2 different teams in the same division. A random eligibility check is held on the field, and a full check is held in the intramural sports office. If the game in which a player signs in is a forfeit, they're still considered to have played in that game and to be on that team's roster. Players may be added at any point in the season or postseason, so should you have problems finding players on a given night, you can still add to your roster. Game time is forfeit time, and a forfeit earns your team a 2 in sportsmanship, which we'll talk about on the next slide. If you know that your team can't make a game, you may call the intramural sports office or email iamsports@uta.edu. If this is done by 3 p.m. on the day of the game, or 3 p.m. Friday for a game on the weekend, this is called a default and will carry a sportsmanship rating of 2.5. Players are not allowed to switch teams after the second week of the season, and if they do before the second week, they will have to sit out a minimum of 1 week in order to transfer between teams. Our sportsmanship system is as follows. Teams will be awarded a sportsmanship grade for each game based on their conduct. A 4.0 or an A is above and beyond conduct and sportsmanship. Good conduct and sportsmanship will be assigned a B or a 3. Average conduct and sportsmanship is a 2. Below average conduct and sportsmanship is a 1. And an F, or 0 points, is poor conduct and sportsmanship. Teams must maintain a 2.5 average in order to be eligible for playoffs. And once in the playoffs, a team must maintain that 2.5 average in order to remain in the playoffs. The way our structure works in the playoffs is that every team makes the playoffs, except for those that don't qualify because of sportsmanship or forfeit. Unsportsmanlike behavior will result in a caution, which could be penalties within the game, ejection, suspension, or a judicial hearing or dismissal from school in some of the most extreme cases. In all of our intramural sports sites, there is no smoking, no alcohol, and no tobacco products. All intramural sports participants play at their own risk. However, the Department of Campus Recreation encourages all participants to have medical insurance in case of injury. Every team makes the playoffs, except for teams that have 2 or more forfeits, or teams that default or forfeit greater than a combined 50% of their scheduled games, or any teams with less than a 2.5 sportsmanship average. If there are enough teams, there will be 2 divisions, a competitive bracket with teams that have a win-loss record above 500, and teams that have a win-loss record below 500 will go into the recreational bracket. During playoffs, the scheduling is done online, and the priority of selection has to do with the standings, the seed during the regular season. That's decided primarily by win-loss record, and a tiebreaker will be sportsmanship, and then which team has more forfeits or defaults, if they've played head-to-head, and finally our last tiebreaker is points against. Unfortunately, it is impossible to ensure that every team plays at their usual time, so be prepared to play on a date time that is not unusual. We don't reschedule games. Remember, you can still add players all the way through the championship game. Indoor soccer is played at the Maverick Activities Center at the MAC Indoor Soccer Gym. You have to have your UTA ID to play, even with the HandScan or Fusion app to get into the building. Teams will play one game per week, and the day of the week depends on which division you sign up for. We will notify all players via IM Leagues if the game is canceled for any reason. We will also post on our social media sites. Please ensure that all of your players are on the roster before the first game. If you have any issues getting players on the roster on IM Leagues, please email imsports@uta.edu. Teams must have jerseys that match, and all of the jerseys must have a number. UTA has jerseys for your team if you don't have any, but you cannot use orange. Keepers must wear an alternate color than everyone else. All players must wear non-marking shoes, and no bare feet, flip-flops, cleats, or boots are allowed. Players cannot wear jewelry, and shirts must be tucked in. 5 players constitute a team, and teams must have 4 minimum present to play and continue the game. Indoor soccer is played with 2 20-minute halves, and the clock will run continuously for the first 38 minutes of the game. It will only stop for injuries until the last 2 minutes when the clock will stop. There is no extra or stoppage time added. If a team is not present at game time, the opposing team will begin accruing points. At game time, the opposing team will be awarded the ball and the clock will start. For every 3 minutes the opposing team is late, the team that is present will be awarded 1 point. After 10 minutes, it becomes a forfeit, and the final score is 3-0. The winning team is awarded a 3 in sportsmanship, and the forfeiting team is awarded a 2. As previously discussed, teams will play 1 game each week. There is no overtime in the regular season. In co-rec, a women's goal is worth 2 points. If a team is ahead by 10 with 5 minutes remaining or ahead by 5 with 2 minutes remaining, the game is over. There is no slide tackling in indoor soccer. Teams will be cautioned, given a yellow card once, and any subsequent offense by that same team will result in a red card for the offending player. Boarding is when a play is along an end or side wall. There cannot be more than 1 player per team jostling for the ball. This results in a blue card. The card breakdown is a blue card, a 2-minute penalty in the penalty box, a yellow card, a 5-minute penalty in the box, or a red card which results in an ejection. If a player is ejected, they must meet with the intramural sports professional staff before they are considered to be reinstated. A penalty kick. Goalies remain on the goal line until the ball is kicked. The ball is placed on the middle red dot, and it must be kicked in 1 continuous motion. Everyone else must be outside of the penalty arch and behind the ball. Non-players are not allowed on the team bench, and if a team has a coach, that person must also be on the roster and checked into the game. Teams are responsible for the behavior of their coach, and they are all responsible for their fans. No banging on the glass is allowed. Substitution in indoor soccer can be live ball. The replaced player must be within the substitution area or off the court entirely before the substitute may enter the playing area. The substitution area is considered to be no more than 2 steps onto the court from the entrance to the team bench. A violation of this results in a member of the offended team, captain's choice, serving a 2-minute time penalty or a blue card. Goalies can only be substituted for during a dead ball, which includes the ball becoming out of play, after a goal, before a half, during an injury, or when a card has been issued. Co-rec modifications for indoor soccer include that teams may not have more than 3 of one gender. And as previously discussed, a female goal is worth 2 points. The competitive division champions will receive t-shirts, and a player has to have played in at least 2 games to be eligible for a t-shirt. If a player misses the championship game, they can come into the office to pick up their shirt up until the end of the semester. Every champion will receive a wing party at Pluckers in Arlington. They will receive 100 boneless bites per team. You have to be present to receive the boneless bites, and please take care of the waitstaff. Tip them as if you were buying the wings. You have to use the coupon before the end of the semester. Typically the Friday after graduation is your deadline. We're glad you're playing this sport with us. Please take a look at the other sports we have available. Our team sports are on the left, and the individual dual sports that we have to offer that are free are on the right. All of these can be signed up for on IM Leagues. As we said earlier, all of our rules and policies and other information can be found on our website. Give us a call at 817-272-3277 or send us an email at iamsports@uta.edu. We also now have an Instagram, so follow us at UTA IM Sports and like us on Facebook.